Let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into a profoundly significant and, well, at times, incredibly heavy topic, suicide. Our mission for this deep dive is really to explore the concepts of hope, healing, and understanding surrounding suicide, specifically through a deeply compassionate Christian lens based entirely on the illuminating material we have before us. It's a subject that touches countless lives, leaving a wake of questions, pain, and sometimes just a profound sense of isolation. Our sources offer a unique and I think powerful perspective, aiming to provide not just comfort, but also some incredibly practical guidance for anyone navigating these turbulent waters.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating about this source material is its unflinching honesty. It doesn't shy away from the stark reality of the pain involved, not at all. But rather, it immediately pivots from acknowledging that pain to offering profound truth and comfort. Our goal in this deep dive is really to extract those essential nuggets of insight that can genuinely make a difference for you. Whether you're personally grappling with overwhelming internal struggles or, you're supporting someone you care about who is, or perhaps you're enduring the deep sorrow of grappling with loss, these insights are designed to provide not just intellectual understanding, but a tangible pathway forward through what often feels like immense and insurmountable difficulty.
Right, a pathway forward, that's key. So to really grasp the gravity of what we're discussing, let's begin by looking at the sheer scale of the issue. The numbers themselves are undeniably stark, painting a very clear picture of a widespread global challenge that frankly demands our attention. Our sources highlight a heartbreaking statistic.
Uh,
In 2021 alone, approximately 727,000 people worldwide died by suicide.
wow.
727,000. Yeah. That number, just on its own, is absolutely staggering. It's not just an abstract figure. It represents an intricate web of individual stories tragically cut short, of countless families irrevocably impacted, and of entire communities left reeling from the profound ripple effects of such a loss.
And if you zoom out for a moment, these statistics unequivocally underscore the critical and urgent need for deeper understanding, for robust intervention, and for compassionate support systems on a truly global scale. This is far more than just a collection of abstract numbers. It's about hundreds of thousands of individual lives, each with unique potential, each with a unique story. And the profound, enduring ripple effect that these losses have on families, friends, communities across every continent, in every culture. When we contemplate nearly 750,000 lives lost in a single year, well, we're confronting a collective human tragedy. It demands not only our full attention, but also our most compassionate and unified response. It really compels us to ask, what lies beneath these numbers? What drives such widespread despair?
And here's a particularly striking insight from our sources, and maybe even more concerning. Suicide was identified as the third leading cause of death among youth aged 15-29.
The third, that's incredibly high for that age group.
It is. Just sit with that for a moment. This isn't an issue confined to older demographics or those struggling with chronic physical conditions. It is tragically and disproportionately impacting young people, individuals who are quite literally just beginning their adult lives, navigating that complex journey of self-discovery, education, career.
Or formative years.
Exactly. This fact alone speaks volumes about the immense pressures and challenges faced by this age group. And to plus even closer to home for many of us, our sources indicate that the U.S. actually reached peak levels of suicide in 2021. Now, while the source points to general contextual factors from that period, what it illuminates is the vulnerability of communities under widespread stress. It suggests that, unprecedented challenges, collective anxiety, societal disruptions, they can amplify these tragic trends.
Yeah, and the particular vulnerability of young people, like you said, suicide being the third leading cause of death in that crucial 15-29 bracket. It raises an incredibly important question for us. What does it truly mean to nurture hope, foster resilience, and cultivate a sense of purpose during those formative, often tumultuous years? When we see this statistic, it screams of a deep crisis, connection, emotional resilience, at a time when individuals are rapidly developing their identities, finding their place. It's a profound call to attention, isn't it? Not just for individual families to be vigilant, but for entire societies to critically examine what support systems are genuinely in place in our schools, our homes, our communities, and crucially, what kind of messages of hope, intrinsic value, and enduring purpose are being communicated to our youth. These figures aren't just cold statistics to analyze. They are a stark, piercing reminder of the urgent need for comprehensive mental health support, for building robust emotional resilience from a young age, and for providing a strong foundational framework for finding deep meaning and value in life, especially during intensely challenging periods.
Yeah. And this heavy reality, these compelling numbers, they naturally compel us to ask, where do we find a robust framework for understanding and responding to such profound pain? And this is precisely where our source material steps in, offering a deeply personal, spiritual, and theological lens, shifting our focus perhaps from the broad numbers to an intimate, profound understanding of every life's sacred value.
That's a good transition.
So when we transition from those stark global statistics and view this sensitive topic through a Christian perspective, what profound truths emerge? Our sources immediately lay down a powerful foundational truth, one that resonates deeply throughout the material: the sacredness of every single life. This isn't presented as merely a philosophical idea or, a pleasant sentiment. It's presented as a core, non-negotiable tenet. The Bible, our source states, teaches unequivocally that every life is sacred because it is created in God's image. It points directly to Genesis 1:27, a pivotal verse that asserts humanity bears the very likeness of its creator, making us distinct and immensely valuable.
And that phrase, created in God's image, it's far more than just a poetic flourish, isn't it? It's a theological anchor. It establishes an inherent intrinsic value for every human being that transcends circumstance, ability, or, perceived contribution. It means that humanity carries echoes of God's own attributes. We possess reason, deep emotion, a moral capacity, the ability to love, to create, to relate. This isn't something we earn, it's something we are simply given by virtue of our creation. This inherent value is foundational. It cannot be diminished or lost, regardless of our struggles, our mental health challenges, or what society might deem our productivity.
That's powerful, that contrast.
It really stands in stark, powerful contrast to any whisper of worthlessness that despair might try to sow in a person's mind.
And the sources don't stop there. They further deepen this understanding of intrinsic worth by referencing Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14, which beautifully and intimately declares that God knit us together, fearfully and wonderfully made.
Ah, that imagery. It's so evocative.
Isn't it? It evokes such a powerful sense of intricate design, profound intentionality, and inherent value. It suggests that each individual is not a random occurrence, but a meticulously crafted masterpiece, woven together with purpose and unique worth from the moment of conception. It's a testament to a personal, deliberate act of creation, asserting that you are a marvel, designed with care, with a specific place in the larger tapestry of existence.
And this deep assurance of being fearfully and wonderfully made, it means your value isn't dependent on what you do, right? Or how successful you are, or what challenges you might face, or even how you feel about yourself on a particular day. Rather, your worth is inherently tied to who created you and the loving intention behind that creation. This immediately elevates the conversation about human life from purely a biological or societal perspective to a profound spiritual level, asserting an eternal significance to every single life.
Eternal significance. And flowing directly from this profound conviction about the sacredness and inherent value of life, our source draws a very clear and poignant theological implication. Suicide, from this viewpoint, is unequivocally not God's plan because it prematurely ends a life He designed with profound purpose. It directly quotes Ecclesiastes 7:17, posing a deeply thoughtful and challenging question: why shouldest thou die before thy time?
That's a hard question.
It is, and it's not presented as a judgment on the individual in pain, but rather as a sorrowful assertion of a divine intention for a full, purposeful life. It suggests that ending one's life prematurely runs counter to that original, loving design, interrupting a story that God intended to unfold.
So if life is so deeply purposed, as these profound scriptures indicate, what then does that mean for those agonizing moments when purpose feels utterly lost? When the darkness is so profound that any sense of meaning is completely obscured? This perspective offers a radically different lens, doesn't it, to view suffering and the future through. It suggests that even in the deepest, most excruciating pain, even when purpose feels completely erased by overwhelming despair, that underlying divine purpose for your life remains intact.
It remains, even when you can't feel it.
Exactly. It's a powerful call to look beyond the immediate feeling of emptiness or hopelessness, and to recognize that the Creator's initial loving intention for your life endures, regardless of how you feel in a given moment, regardless of the circumstances you face. The source powerfully reiterates this enduring truth, offering words of profound reassurance. God sees you, and your pain is not the end of your story.
Yeah.
You are loved, and your life has eternal value.
Your pain is not the end of your story. That's crucial.
It is. And this is not just a comforting platitude. It's presented as a statement of ultimate truth, underscored by the most profound act of divine love imaginable, according to this perspective. God proved this by offering the life of His Son on your behalf. This ultimate sacrifice, from a Christian viewpoint, fundamentally solidifies the immense, incomparable value placed on each individual life. It demonstrates the lengths to which God went to redeem, restore, and preserve that inherent worth.
Okay. So this deep assurance of value, this unwavering declaration of purpose, this then leads us directly to how this divine perspective addresses the immediate agonizing pain of those who might be considering suicide right now.
Right. How does it speak into that immediate crisis?
Well, our sources delve deeply into that agonizing experience, offering a crucial and incredibly empathetic distinction that is vital for understanding. It says, if you're considering suicide, you may not want to die, you just want the pain to stop.
That distinction is so important.
It's profoundly powerful, isn't it? Because it immediately reframes the entire struggle. It acknowledges with deep compassion the overwhelming nature of the suffering, recognizing that the deepest desire isn't for an end to existence itself, but for an end to what feels like unbearable, relentless anguish.
Yes, that critical distinction between wanting the pain to stop and wanting life to end is incredibly insightful. It's a game changer in how we approach this topic. It completely reframes the internal struggle, creating an immediate and crucial opening for solutions that do not involve ending life. When we truly grasp this, it becomes clear that the Christian message doesn't promise an immediate removal of all suffering life in a fallen world inevitably brings tribulation, as the source notes. But what it does offer, if we connect this to the broader picture of the source material, is a powerful framework for endurance through suffering. And crucially, it promises divine support, presence, and strength in the process.
Endurance through suffering, not necessarily instant removal.
Exactly. This perspective doesn't minimize the very real visceral pain. Instead, it validates that pain while simultaneously offering a different hopeful path forward. It shifts the focus of intervention, We're not necessarily trying to convince someone to want to live in their current state of pain. We're trying to help them find a way to stop that unbearable pain without resorting to ending their life. It means the pathway to help is fundamentally about alleviating suffering, not just about clinging to existence.
That makes sense. Alleviating the suffering is the goal. Our sources then present Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as someone who profoundly understands suffering in a deeply personal way. It quotes John 16:33, a verse that truly resonates with anyone experiencing deep tribulation. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world.
Be of good cheer even amidst tribulation. That sounds almost counterintuitive.
It does, but it's not presented as a naive promise of a life free from pain or challenges. Instead, it's a profound promise of enduring strength, of divine companionship, and ultimately of victory even within the very midst of that pain. It suggests a divine empathy, a deep, intimate understanding of human struggle at its most agonizing levels, because according to the source, Jesus himself experienced profound suffering.
Right. That profound empathy suggested by Jesus' understanding of suffering, highlighted in John 16:33, is a cornerstone of this message of hope. It paints a picture of a God who is neither distant nor unaware of human pain, but one who has intimately experienced and conquered the very tribulations we face. The phrase, "I have overcome the world," offers an incredibly powerful beacon of hope and assurance. It implies that even the most overwhelming and seemingly insurmountable tribulations are not beyond the scope of divine assistance and ultimate victory. It provides a vital spiritual anchor in the storm of despair, asserting that there is a power greater than our pain, and that ultimately light can prevail over darkness. This leads us to consider how that power manifests practically, which raises that important question. How does the concept of sufficient grace actually practically manifest in moments of deep crisis, when everything feels like too much to bear?
That's a great question. And building on this profound understanding, the source then offers very direct and actionable guidance, explicitly encouraging anyone struggling to reach out to someone, be it a trusted pastor, a close friend, or a professional counselor. It emphasizes that God's grace is sufficient, citing 2 Corinthians 12:9, and offers the incredibly comforting promise that he can carry you through.
He can carry you through. That's a promise of support, not elimination of the burden necessarily.
Exactly. This isn't just abstract spiritual advice. It's concrete, practical encouragement to break the insidious isolation that so often accompanies deep pain and despair. The idea of sufficient grace is incredibly potent, isn't it? It implies that there's an unending, perfectly tailored supply of divine strength and comfort, perfectly designed for whatever specific burden you're currently carrying. It's a profound promise that you will not be given more than you can handle with that divine help, that God's strength will be made perfect in your weakness, as the scripture says.
And the emphasis on reaching out is framed here not merely as a human act of seeking help, but as a crucial divinely guided step towards accessing both profound spiritual support and the practical, tangible help that a caring community can offer. When the source states unequivocally that God's grace is sufficient, it implies a divine resource that is precisely enough for whatever specific challenge you face, no matter how immense or unbearable it feels. It's not about you needing to be sufficient in your own limited strength. It's about acknowledging that God's strength is more than sufficient for you.
That's a key distinction.
It really is. The implications of this are truly profound for sustaining individuals through immense difficulty, suggesting that they are never expected to bear such an immense burden alone. It fundamentally transforms the act of seeking help from what might feel like a sign of weakness into a courageous act of wisdom and faith. Actively drawing upon the spiritual and communal resources that are divinely made available, it's about recognizing that in our weakness, divine strength can empower us to endure.
Yeah. And the message continues with powerful reassurance and incredibly clear, actionable steps. You are not alone, and there is hope in Christ. For someone feeling utterly isolated, overwhelmed, completely hopeless, those words can literally be a lifeline, cutting through the crushing weight of despair. And then it provides remarkably practical, immediate advice. Start right now with a prayer, then seek out a Bible and start reading. It even adds, with a kind of gentle urgency, there's enough time for that.
There's enough time for that. That implies immediate action is possible, even vital.
Right. This isn't about engaging in complex theological debates or lengthy religious rituals in a moment of crisis. It's about empowering immediate, accessible actions that can begin, even subtly, to shift a person's focus and connect them to a tangible source of spiritual comfort and eternal truth. It suggests that even the smallest, most immediate steps can initiate a profound path towards hope and healing.
Emphasizing these immediate, accessible actions, prayer, and reading the Bible, it really underscores the idea that even in the midst of overwhelming crisis, there are concrete, tangible steps one can take to begin to initiate a path toward hope and spiritual grounding. It roots the promise of spiritual comfort in direct personal engagement, empowering the individual to begin a process of seeking solace, perspective, and understanding right where they are without delay. This implies that these aren't just symbolic gestures, they are acts that can actively engage a person's spirit and mind, beginning to shift their internal landscape, offering a glimmer of light in the deepest darkness. They provide a direct pathway to connect with the source of the comfort we've been discussing.
A glimmer of light, that's well put. What about those who have already experienced the devastating, unimaginable loss of a loved one to suicide? Our sources recognize that this brings a different yet equally profound form of pain, and they offer deeply needed comfort there too.
Yeah, the focus shifts to the survivors, the ones left behind.
Exactly. If you've lost someone to suicide, our sources powerfully acknowledge a profound and often crushing burden that frequently settles in the heart of survivors: guilt. It's described as this insidious weight, a relentless cascade of what-ifs and if-onlys that can feel truly unbearable, replaying countless scenarios in the mind.
Oh, absolutely. That guilt can be overwhelming.
But our sources offer a powerful, liberating counter to that immense weight, directly addressing this common and debilitating emotion. The material references Romans 8.1, a cornerstone of Christian theology, which states, "There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus." This is presented as a profoundly liberating statement, especially for those tormented by self-blame, a truth designed to free and heal.
And what's truly compelling here is that direct, empathetic confrontation of guilt. It's so often a crushing secondary pain for survivors of suicide loss. The emphasis on no condemnation is incredibly liberating because it explicitly removes the spiritual and emotional burden of culpability from the grieving person. It's a profound declaration that they are not judged, blamed, or held responsible for the actions of another, nor for their own intense grief. It's about recognizing that suicide is complex, and while survivors may feel an immense burden of responsibility, that burden is not theirs to carry, and they're not condemned for it.
They're not condemned for it.
Right. This truth, that there is no condemnation, provides a vital separation between the act of suicide and the love that existed between individuals. It releases the survivor from an impossible burden of responsibility for another's choice. This really raises an important question, though. How does entrusting a loved one to God's mercy truly help a grieving individual find peace when answers might seem forever elusive and, a sense of closure feels utterly impossible?
That's the core challenge, isn't it? Finding peace without all the answers. This liberating truth then leads directly to the pathway to peace offered by the source. It encourages entrusting the lost loved one to God's mercy and leaning on his comfort. To profoundly reinforce this, it cites Psalm 34.18, a beautifully compassionate verse. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit.
The Lord is nigh, close.
Present. Exactly. This verse paints an intimate picture of a compassionate, ever-present God who actively draws near to those in their deepest anguish, offering solace directly in the midst of their pain. It suggests that even in a situation where human understanding utterly fails, where logic provides no answers, divine mercy can provide a profound framework for peace and acceptance.
Discussing how releasing someone to God's mercy can be a vital, even transformative part of the grieving process. It involves recognizing that it's an act of deep relinquishment. It's about surrendering what you cannot control, what you may never fully understand, and what you cannot change to a higher loving power. It's not about forgetting the person or dismissing the pain or pretending the loss didn't happen. Not at all. Rather, it's about finding a way to integrate the profound experience of loss without being utterly consumed by guilt, regret, or that torturous loop of unanswered questions.
Integrating it, not being consumed by it.
Precisely. This act of entrustment allows for a spiritual space where the deceased person's ultimate fate, which lies beyond human comprehension, is left to divine compassion and justice. This can be immensely comforting for a survivor who feels they bear an unbearable, incomprehensible weight of responsibility. It's an act of faith that frees the grieving heart to begin to heal.
And as a profound, enduring source of hope, the material powerfully points to Romans 15.4, which offers a timeless promise. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that through patience and comfort of the Scriptures might have hope. This positions the Bible not merely as an ancient religious text, but as a living, dynamic source of solace, wisdom, and genuine transformative hope, truly capable of ministering to and healing a broken heart. The question posed in the source, "Are you ready for hope?" is not a demand, but a tender, profound invitation to actively engage with this deep wellspring of comfort and spiritual sustenance.
Indeed. And consider how the Scriptures are presented here as a tangible, living source of hope and comfort, not simply abstract concepts to be considered. It's profoundly suggested that actively engaging with the Bible, reading it, meditating on its truths, can provide a restorative balm for the soul, offering much-needed perspectives, unwavering promises, and the quiet, persistent assurance of divine presence. This transforms the act of reading into a direct, personal interaction with comfort, truth, and hope, making it a proactive, intentional step in the healing journey.
An active step, not passive.
Right. The empathetic language used in the source, "If your heart is broken, let him heal it," powerfully conveys the depth and tenderness of the offered solace, extending an invitation for the grieving individual into a process of divine restoration, asserting that healing is not only possible, but divinely desired. This idea of deep assurance and specific pathways to healing then transitions us to an even larger, almost cosmic, significance attributed to every life, underscoring its immense value beyond individual circumstances or earthly challenges.
Okay, now, here's a concept from our sources that might truly reshape your understanding of your own significance. A revelation that could feel genuinely, well, mind-blowing for some. It states, with such directness, you may not realize how important you are.
That's quite a statement.
It is. And it isn't just a generic feel-good statement or a platitude. It's immediately followed by a profound, almost startling explanation of why you are so important. It clarifies, God is constantly seeking for you, and so is the enemy of souls. There is not a time when you are not actually warred over. You are sought for all day long, every day. Christ and Satan want you intensely.
Wow, warred over. That's intense language.
It is. This passage paints an astonishing picture of individual human life, not as a small, insignificant speck in the vastness of the universe, but as a central, vital battleground in an unseen cosmic struggle.
This concept of being warred over is profoundly impactful, isn't it? Because it immediately elevates the individual's significance to a cosmic scale, suggesting that every single life, including yours, holds immense, incomparable value and is the central focus of a spiritual struggle of monumental proportions. It fundamentally repositions the individual from being maybe a passive participant in life to an intensely desired, sought-after, and contested entity within a grand spiritual drama.
Contested. That's a strong word, too.
It is. When we connect this to the bigger picture, it means that your very existence, your choices, your well-being is not just personal or isolated. It is profoundly important and deeply interwoven within a much larger unseen narrative. This perspective transforms what might feel like purely personal struggles or internal battles from mere human failings into significant skirmishes in a grander spiritual conflict. This truly raises an important question. How might understanding oneself as being so intensely sought after and coveted, fought over, fundamentally shift one's perspective on personal struggles, on moments of despair, and on the very will to live?
That's a huge question. How does that awareness change things? The source continues to emphasize, within this context of cosmic conflict, that life is precious, and crucially, that God's love is greater than our pain. This statement serves as a powerful reassurance, a profound anchor in the midst of what could otherwise feel like an overwhelming spiritual battle. It implies that despite the intensity of the spiritual conflict over an individual's soul, the ultimate, all-encompassing force of divine love infinitely outweighs and can definitively overcome any suffering, any despair, any darkness one might experience.
So love is stronger than the battle, essentially.
That's the message. It anchors an individual's worth not in their ability to fight or endure on their own, but in the enduring, overwhelming, and active love of God. The very fact that both divine and opposing forces are intensely focused on you, on your choices, on your very existence.
Right.
It underscores a value that is truly beyond human comprehension. It's a testament to a profound inherent worth that doesn't diminish even in the absolute darkest moments of despair, suggesting that your life matters eternally.
Exploring the implications of being warred over. It means understanding that your life isn't just about your personal journey and individual experiences. It's about a profound inherent value that makes you a focal point in an ongoing spiritual struggle. This can be interpreted as the ultimate testament to the incomparable, immeasurable worth of human life. It suggests that every choice you make, every moment of perseverance, every step you take towards hope and healing is significant beyond what we might perceive on a human level.
Every step matters.
Yes. This perspective has the power to empower an individual immensely by emphasizing their unique, irreplaceable importance, thereby providing a deeper, more resilient sense of purpose and meaning. It reframes internal struggles, which we acknowledge are very real personal failings and mental health challenges, not as mere isolated experiences, but as battles of immense spiritual significance, where the stakes are incredibly high. The very idea that Christ and Satan want you intensely serves to underscore this profound importance attributed to each individual, giving a cosmic weight and eternal significance to even the smallest personal decision to live, to seek help, and to embrace the hope offered.
Okay, so this understanding of profound personal value, this recognition of your immense cosmic significance, it naturally leads us to the critical importance of community and collective action in prevention and support, moving from the vast cosmic scale to the tangible everyday reality of our shared humanity.
Right, bringing it back down to earth to our communities.
Exactly. Our deep dive culminates with a powerful and essential call to action, emphasizing a crucial truth at suicide prevention. It is unequivocally not a solitary effort. The sources state with profound clarity, prevention isn't often about a single soul, it's about a village.
It takes a village. We hear that phrase often, but here it has such specific weight.
It really does. It immediately and powerfully shifts the responsibility from resting solely on the individual struggling to a collective, communal effort, a shared responsibility. It's a vital recognition that while personal suffering can feel incredibly isolating and overwhelming, the pathway to healing, hope, and lasting support is inherently relational and absolutely requires the active participation of many within a caring community.
And what's truly fascinating here is precisely this pivot, isn't it? From understanding the individual's profound struggle to emphasizing a communal, shared responsibility, it powerfully underscores that while the pain may feel incredibly isolating for the person experiencing it, the pathway to healing and prevention is deeply relational, woven into the very fabric of a supportive community. This raises an important question for us. How do these specific, actionable components of a village, watchful eyes, open hands, safe spaces, and encouraging words, tangibly translate the theological concepts we've meticulously discussed, like the sacredness of life and divine empathy? How do they translate into concrete, life-saving actions in the real world? It provides a very practical, actionable blueprint for how a community can actively embody these profound spiritual principles.
Yeah, a blueprint. That's a good way to put it. The source then meticulously breaks down what this comprehensive village concept truly entails, giving us actionable insights. It includes watchful eyes, open hands, safe spaces, and words that remind someone you are still worth tomorrow.
Each of those is so vital.
They really are. Each element is a critical interwoven component of a truly comprehensive and compassionate support system. Watchful eyes suggest a heightened empathetic awareness, a deliberate willingness to notice changes in behavior, mood, or engagement in those around us, even the subtle ones. It's about active, caring observation, demonstrating that we care enough to truly see beyond the surface.
Not just looking, but seeing.
Right. Open hands implies practical, active help. It's a willingness to reach out directly, to offer tangible assistance, whether that's direct emotional support, actively connecting someone to professional resources, or simply being present in their struggle, ready to listen without judgment. And safe spaces refers to the conscious creation of environments where individuals feel profoundly secure enough to be vulnerable, to openly share their deepest struggles without fear of judgment, condemnation, or dismissal, thereby fostering deep trust and unconditional acceptance.
Breaking down each element of this vital village concept really reveals their profound and practical application in everyday life. Watchful eyes are about vigilance, recognizing that mental health struggles and despair often manifest subtly, sometimes cloaked in silence. It's about seeing beyond the surface and truly noticing a person's state, asking probing, compassionate questions. Open hands are the active extension of help, whether it's reaching out to initiate a conversation, offering tangible practical assistance like a ride to an appointment, or crucially connecting someone to professional support like a crisis helpline. That's a direct act of life-saving intervention.
It absolutely is.
Safe spaces are absolutely crucial because they provide the non-judgmental, accepting environment necessary for true vulnerability. They are places where individuals feel genuinely heard, validated, and accepted, which is vital for them to open up about deep pain they might otherwise conceal. And finally, those words that remind someone, you are still worth tomorrow. They are direct, powerful, life-affirming messages. They combat the insidious internal narratives of hopelessness and worthlessness. They are a counter-narrative, spoken directly into the darkness of despair, affirming an individual's inherent value and future hope. These specific actions directly translate the theological concept of inherent worth and divine love into practical, communal, and truly life-saving acts of care and compassion.
Beautifully said, a counter-narrative. The source goes further, providing very direct, concrete, and immediately actionable advice for those struggling themselves or for those who know someone who is. It explicitly advises calling a trusted friend, a pastor, or a professional helpline like 988. It reiterates, with urgent compassion, you are not alone.
That number, 988, making it so accessible, is huge.
Absolutely. This is not just abstract encouragement, it's concrete, immediate guidance designed to provide a lifeline. The act of calling 988, for instance, is a profound and tangible example of those open hands in practice, providing a direct, confidential connection to professional help and support, ensuring that no one has to navigate these deep, overwhelming waters by themselves. This brings us to the end of our deep dive into these sources, but certainly not the end of this vital conversation, and hopefully just the beginning of continued hope and support.
Indeed. And consider how creating such a supportive village environment can serve as a profound and practical outworking of the Christian call to love one another, to bear one another's burdens, and to care deeply for every individual life, as presented in these sources. It's not just a theoretical concept or a moral imperative, it's a living, breathing blueprint for active compassion and tangible support. The direct, actionable advice, like calling 988, highlights the crucial and seamless integration of spiritual conviction with practical, immediate, and effective support. It underscores that faith, in this deeply sensitive context, calls for tangible, life-saving action, emphasizing that the well-being and preservation of each individual is a sacred, shared responsibility of the community. This holistic approach, blending profound spiritual conviction regarding life's value with practical communal support, creates a robust and deeply compassionate framework for addressing an issue as complex, sensitive, and widespread as suicide.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've journeyed through some incredibly sensitive, important, and profoundly moving material today, exploring a Christian perspective on suicide. We started with the stark statistical reality of its global impact, particularly on our youth, recognizing the deep human cost. We then moved to the profound theological insights on the inherent value and sacredness of every life, understanding that we are, as the source says, fearfully and wonderfully made, designed with purpose. We've delved into the powerful message of hope for those hurting, understanding that the deepest desire is often to stop the unbearable pain, not life itself, and found immense comfort in the idea of God's sufficient grace carrying us through. We've also touched on the vital healing process for those left behind, directly addressing the heavy burden of guilt with the liberating truth of no condemnation. And then we explored the astonishing cosmic significance of each life, that truly mind-bending idea of being warred over by divine and opposing forces, highlighting your inherent worth and purpose. The core message that resonates time and again throughout these sources is one of unwavering hope, of profound inherent worth, and the undeniable transformative power of connection, both divine connection with a loving creator and crucial communal connection within a supportive village.
Yeah, and if we connect all of these powerful threads to the bigger picture, this deep dive has powerfully shown how a faith perspective, specifically a Christian one, as presented in our sources, can provide an incredibly robust, compassionate, and comprehensive framework for navigating some of life's most challenging and painful experiences. It offers not just profound spiritual comfort and a rich theological understanding of suffering and value, but also clear, actionable steps for intervention, for deep healing, and for proactive prevention within a supportive community context. It beautifully illustrates a holistic approach that views the individual within a grand spiritual narrative of immense importance, while simultaneously emphasizing practical, tangible, and compassionate engagement at the most local, personal level.
Well said. Practical, tangible engagement. So, as we close out this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to truly mull over, something to carry with you. The sources emphasize, quite astonishingly, that you are warred over and intensely sought after, both by God and by the enemy of souls. What does it truly mean for you to grasp your own inherent, immense importance and profound value in the face of life's deepest challenges, especially when the pain feels overwhelming, when worth seems elusive? And how might understanding yourself not just as an individual navigating personal struggles, but as a vital active part of this village with those watchful eyes, open hands, safe spaces, and words that remind someone you are still worth tomorrow? How might that empower you to be a source of that very hope and tangible support for others who might be struggling in silence, perhaps right next to you? We encourage you with all sincerity to hold fast to hope and to do it together.
For more information regarding spiritual truths about God, the Bible, and your salvation, visit revelationwithdaniel.com.